Helen Keller was born in Alabama, in the United States, in 1880. When she was born, she was a healthy and happy baby. She lived with her parents and enjoyed a peaceful childhood. She loved being outside and was interested in everything around her. However, her life changed completely when she was only 19 months old. Helen became very sick with a serious illness. She had a very high fever, and her family was afraid that she might die. Fortunately, Helen survived the illness. But after the illness, she could no longer see or hear. She had lost two important ways of understanding the world. Helen was still very young, so she could not understand what had happened to her. She could not speak clearly, and she had no way to communicate with the people around her. As she grew older, she became frustrated because people could not understand what she wanted. Sometimes she became angry and had difficult moments with her family. Her parents loved her very much, but they did not know how to help her. Helen needed someone who could teach her how to communicate with the world. When Helen was 7 years old, a young teacher named Anne Sullivan came into her life and had experienced serious difficulties in her own childhood. Because of her own experiences, she understood that Helen needed both patience and education, and began by teaching Helen words through spelling letters into her hand. At first, Helen did not understand that these movements had meanings. For her, everything was confusing. Anne, however, did not give up. She continued to teach Helen again and again. One day, Anne took Helen outside and gave her some water. She then spelled the word water into Helen's hand. Suddenly, Helen understood something important. She realized that everything around her could have a name. The water was not just something she could feel. It had a name, and that name was water. This simple discovery changed Helen's life forever. She suddenly wanted to learn the names of everything around her. She touched objects and asked Anne for their names. Helen's desire to learn became stronger every day. A door that had seemed closed began to open. After learning her first words, Helen began to learn much more. She learned to read by using raised letters and special books. She also learned how to write. Learning was not easy, but Helen worked very hard. She wanted to know more about the world than anyone could teach her. Books became one of the most important parts of her life. Through books, she could discover places she had never seen and ideas she had never heard. Although she could not see the words with her eyes, she could understand them with her mind. Helen soon became an excellent student. She studied many subjects, including history, literature, mathematics, and foreign languages. She did not want her disabilities to decide what she could or could not learn. Instead, she wanted to decide that for herself. As Helen became older, she wanted to receive a formal education. She wanted to study with other young people and learn from professional teachers. Eventually, she entered the Perkins School for the Blind in Massachusetts. There, she had the opportunity to study in a new environment. She also met other students who had difficulties similar to hers. Helen worked harder than ever. She wanted to prove that a person with disabilities could receive a good education. Later, Helen entered Radcliffe College, which was connected with Harvard University. College life was extremely difficult for her. She had to read many books and complete many assignments. Some books were not available in forms that she could easily use. And Sullivan helped Helen access information, but Helen herself had to do the hard work of studying. In 1904, Helen graduated from Radcliffe College. She became the first deaf-blind person in the United States to earn a Bachelor of Arts degree. Helen had learned to communicate through writing and finger spelling, but she also wanted to learn to speak. This was another difficult challenge. Because Helen could not hear normal speech, she could not learn sounds in the usual way. Still, she practiced speaking for a long time. She learned to feel the movements of a person's mouth and throat. Her speech was not perfect, but she continued to practice. For Helen, being able to speak was not only about making sounds. It was another way to connect with other people. After graduating from college, Helen did not simply live a quiet life. She wanted to use her experiences to help other people. She became a writer, speaker, and activist. She traveled to many places and spoke about the rights of people with disabilities. She believed that people should have opportunities to learn and work, regardless of their disabilities. At a time when people with disabilities were often treated unfairly, Helen spoke openly about these problems. She also cared about people who lived in poverty. She believed that education could give people more choices in life. Helen did not want people to feel sorry for her. Instead, she wanted people to see what a person could achieve with education, support, and determination. Helen loved books throughout her life. Books gave her a way to explore ideas and understand people. She read about history, philosophy, science, and literature. She also wrote books about her own life. Her most famous book is an autobiography called The Story of My Life. In it, she described her childhood, her relationship with Anne Sullivan, and her journey toward education. Her story showed readers that education could open a new world. For Helen, learning was not something that ended when she graduated from college. She continued learning throughout her life. Helen Keller died in 1968, but her message continues to reach people today. Her life was not easy, but she continued to learn, to dream, and to move forward. Her story reminds us that our difficulties are only one part of who we are. What matters is what we choose to do with the life we have. And that is why Helen Keller's story is still worth reading today.